I want to introduce someone very special, not only to me, but to the Omaha Serra Club, to the Archdiocese of Omaha, and really to the international Serra world, all of us working for vocations and the priesthood and vocations to religious life. And that is a man who's been a Serran since 1970. He is almost an icon here in Omaha, and he's the past president of USAC and a wonderful, wonderful individual. Please welcome William Ramsey.
I got two wonderfuls there. That was nice. Thank you, Sherry. And let's have a round of applause for our super MCs, Sherry and Kevin. Your Excellencies, Monsignori, Reverend Fathers, esteemed sisters and brothers, devoted deacons, loyal Serrans, and guests. Bishop Pates had mentioned at the Mass about Council Bluffs and met me at the door and said he'd like to have a Council Bluffs native introduce the bishop. So it was kind of short notice, but he wanted another Bluffs person on the program this morning, so that's why I'm here. That's my hometown also, which I was more than happy to do this. It's hard to believe I was in Serra since 1970, youthful as I look and slender. And, okay, I used to look slender. I used to look youthful. I am hardly the ranking Catholic to be your next introducer of a keynote speaker. My current highest ranking leadership role right now is as the head usher at the 10:30 Mass at St. Margaret Mary Parish. So there'll be no autographs or anything like that. It's a very important job. All of you know, many ushers, I can spot them in the crowd. They're still trying to cram people into 3 seats, and there's only 1 seat there. So that's one of the first things we have to do as ushers. We have to learn that. My last review, when I did give a public speaking engagement many years ago, my wife is my chief critic, and I asked her afterwards, rather hesitatingly I asked her, because she's a good critic, and she said, well, I thought you started slow and then tapered off. And I thought, it's about enough of that, so I don't ask her anymore. I think she's down having coffee right now. I wish you a cordial welcome to the heartland of America, my home, our home, and your home for these few days, and perhaps you'll come back. Omaha, Nebraska, the 67th Annual Serra International Convention, and the celebration of the Year of Priests. And there's breaking news, if we didn't have enough drama at this convention already, and this may go down as I make this announcement, actually. It went down on time the other day when we had it choreographed, as you recall, at that moment. But I just very quickly saw a headline in the Omaha World Herald, which was a story out of the Los Angeles Times. And I believe the headline said something like, Father Serra's canonization closer. In today's paper, we're in the heartland praying to him. Bishop Pates was praying for his canonization. We all pray for it every day. So this is just amazing to me. I haven't read the story yet, but what a timely thing to happen. Each spring, the battle cry for college baseball teams across the nation is, let's get on the road to Omaha to compete in the famed College World Series hosted by this great city for a half century. This summer, the road to Omaha has led this team of clergy, religious, and Serrans to an even more important challenge, to support our beloved church through our religious vocations ministries. And we're winning this battle. We're a winning team. This is a special request by our dynamic duo, an invitation to me. Tim and Sally O'Neill have done a spectacular job. They're both in the room, and I'd like to have a nice round of applause for them right back there. Honestly, they asked me some weeks ago if I would introduce our dear friend, Archbishop Emeritus Elden Francis Curtis. Quickly responded, and positively, I take one liberty, however. This is an introduction, but it's also a tribute. It is a well-earned tribute to one of Serra's dearest friends and most loyal supporters, The road to Omaha for our featured speaker began with his ordination in Baker City, Oregon. His span of achievements include resident rector of Mount Angel Seminary there. Among many other assignments, he was superintendent of schools at the Diocese of Baker City. In 1976, he became Bishop of Helena, Montana, and on June 25, 1993, he was installed as Archbishop of Omaha, succeeding the beloved Archbishop Daniel Sheehan. Archbishop Sheehan was appointed Vicar General and worked alongside Archbishop Curtis until Archbishop Sheehan's death in 2000. He was also a great supporter of Serra. Archbishop Curtis's record of church and public service is monumental. Where are the monuments? Look around you. Look around in this city, in this diocese, probably this country. During his 16 years of leadership as Archbishop Curtis kept the Catholic school system strong and vibrant. There are 76 Catholic schools, 50 elementary and 18 secondary in the Archdiocese, with a combined budget of more than $105 million. More than 20,000 students were enrolled in our school year this past year. To raise more money for ministry or other causes, Archbishop Curtis launched the Archdiocesan Annual Appeal, which started in 2000. Now, an usher would be proud of this kind of fundraising. It started in 2000, it's still going, and it's raising, in these 9 years, almost $22 million from generous donors and great leadership. When the Eucharistic Congress was held April 27, 2003, at the Omaha Civic Auditorium, more than 5,000 people attended. Archbishop had led this cause, and it was the first Eucharistic Congress in the Archdiocese since 1930. During his time in office, Archbishop established 3 new parishes, and more good news was the opening of 6 new elementary and secondary schools, including inner-city schools. Archbishop was appointed a member of the Pontifical Council for Family by Pope John Paul II, and later the Institute for Priestly Formation, you've heard their story here this week, presented him with the Pope John Paul II Award for exceptional contributions to the church and religious vocations ministry. In 1994, he also was appointed Episcopal Advisor for Serra International, and for a time in that same role with the U.S. Council of Serra. He is noted for his leadership and generosity in groups such as the Knights of Columbus, St. Vincent de Paul Society, Pope Paul VI Institute, the Knights and Ladies of the Holy Sepulchre, Catholic Charities, and the Institute for Priestly Formation, Catholic Voice, whose editor Charlie Weiss and his staff have been here covering this convention all week. Also a Serran, he's also a Serran, Charlie is, KVSS Spirit 107.2, Catholic Radio, the largest, most powerful Catholic radio station in the country now. Station manager Jim Carroll, also a Serran, and both covering our convention. And many more key organizations, too long to mention. It was my privilege a few years ago as chairman of the Boy Scout Religious Emblems Committee to present Archbishop Curtis with the coveted St. George Award for his exceptional support of scouting in the Archdiocese. I had a cataract removed a few days ago, and I may be looking here for a moment, if you have a little patience there. Oh, yes, I get that. Archbishop's coat of arms. So this is a quote I would like to end this paper here with. Upon acceptance of his appointment as a successor to Archbishop Sheehan by John Paul II, a number of pages are a little off. How could that happen with my 3 secretaries working on this? This quote, Archbishop's coat of arms, is that we all may be one, St. John's Gospel, 17th chapter. In Jesus' exhortation to his disciples before his arrest in the garden, Archbishop commented on that message and how it relates. His prayers for his first followers and for us has always been a source of inspiration for the church throughout the centuries and a cause for our continuity and unity as a people. Upon acceptance of the appointment as the successor to Archbishop Sheehan by Pope John Paul II, Archbishop prophesied, "My sense is that something special is beginning for me in Nebraska and for this strong, vital church that I have been called on to lead." As our new shepherd, Archbishop George J. Lucas begins his journey in this great land, we reflect on Archbishop Curtis's legacy of a richly blessed archdiocese. His perseverance, his vision, and his commitment to unity, that all may be one, are among the many gifts to the Church of Northeast Nebraska, to the Universal Church, and indeed to Serra International. As the family of Serra gathered so beautifully in this room, I think it'd be well if we had a standing welcome and thank you to our devoted shepherd, our trusted friend, Archbishop Elden Francis Curtis Emeritus.
My God, Bill, was like listening to my obituary. Mis amigos, mes amis, dear friends. Well, it's always a great pleasure for me to be able to gather with members of Serra International. My life, my ministry has been dedicated to the promotion of vocations in the church. First of all, vocations to priesthood, so essential to the sacramental life of the church. And then vocations to consecrated life that supports and strengthens the mission of the church. And then vocations to lay ministry, especially the specific call by the Lord to membership in Serra International to support vocation ministry throughout the church. You know, my connection with Serra began in 1950, 59 years ago this month, when I entered St. Edward Seminary in Seattle as a college freshman. But you know, when I listened to Ralph Housen yesterday, I thought, you know, I'm really relatively young. My great uncle, Stephen Selak, though he wasn't one of the four founders of Serra, was one of the first businessmen in Seattle to join the new club to promote vocations to priesthood. Later that fall, when the Serrans came to the seminary for their annual dinner, Stephen introduced me to the founders of the club. I still remember that day very vividly. Then in 1994, 44 years later, when I became Episcopal Advisor for Serra International, Stephen was overjoyed that I was given this role in his beloved Serra International. Now, even though Serra began as just a group of businessmen in Seattle to promote vocations to priesthood, it soon spread to other cities in the United States because of the specific need that it addressed. And gradually, as Cesare mentioned yesterday, gradually it spread throughout the world. It became a worldwide movement for lay people to help them assume their important and necessary role in promoting vocations in the church. It's this international role and mission of Serra that is recognized by the Holy See and by the bishops of the world. I was with the members of the International Board at the meeting in Mexico in 1994 when the decision was made to allow the USA-Canada Council to be established within Serra International. And I remember that the international president at that time, Luis Jimenez of Mexico, was concerned that the USA-Canada Council might become so dominant that it would undermine the role of Serra International. Some of the U.S. members on the board argued that a national council would be helpful in allowing members to devise strategies and programs for promoting vocations at the local level. And a majority of the board members voted for the formation of the USA-Canada Council, and I became the first Episcopal advisor of that council. The only caution that was sounded, and I remember this, the only caution that was sounded was that this new council should not in any way detract from or interfere with the mission of Serra International. In 1997, and then again in December 2007, 10 years later, I gathered the leadership of Serra International and the USA Council to Omaha to try to work out a better working relationship between the two bodies. The memorandum drafted at the 2007 meeting was intended to settle the serious disputes between USAC and Serra International. And when I finish my remarks now, I'm willing to take questions about these meetings and to share with you my continuing concern about the future relationship of Serra International with the USA Council. The Holy See, through the Congregation for Education, wishes to have an ongoing relationship with the leadership of Serra International because of the increasing importance of the role of lay people in vocation ministry throughout the world. The Holy See does not deal directly with individual national councils. Each national council has a liaison with the Conference of Catholic Bishops in the country where it is acting. In his encyclical, Christa Fidelis Laici, the lay members of Christ's faithful people, Pope John Paul II called all faithful Catholics throughout the world to accept their rightful and necessary role in promoting the mission of Jesus in the world and therefore the mission of the church, which is his visible body in the world. The reason faithful Catholics are called to this mission is because of their baptism, by which they became identified with Jesus and his mission. Baptism is an act of adoption by the Father to be able to share in his kingdom, become heirs of the kingdom with his Son. We're adopted by the Father when we're baptized. Let me quote John Paul. Baptism regenerates us in the life of the Son of God. It unites us to Christ and to his body, the church, and anoints us in the Holy Spirit, making us spiritual temples. Close quote. And then, because of our own Pentecost that takes place when we are confirmed with the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, we are able to experience the fulfillment of Christ's promise to us in a real and personal way when we're confirmed. We are not bound by our human weaknesses and sinfulness. We are empowered by the Spirit to live like Christ and to continue his mission in the world. All of us who are confirmed are empowered by the Spirit to do that. The third sacrament of initiation, life and the mission of Jesus, is the Eucharist, by which we are nourished with the body and blood of Jesus. It is this intimacy with him that identifies us with his mission as a priest and prophet and teacher, as leader and sanctifier of his people. We are identified with that mission. We are fed for that mission with his own body and blood. Pope John Paul reminded us that St. Peter declared that Christ's faithful people are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, and a holy nation, God's own people set apart to declare the wonderful deeds of Jesus, who has called us out of darkness into his own wonderful light. All of us, through the sacraments of initiation, are called to the priestly, teaching, sanctifying role of Jesus. As baptized lay Catholics, you Serrans have a continuing responsibility to live your faith in the way that the Lord has called you to live it as Serrans. As members of Serra, you have a specific ministry in the church. Through your own priestly identity with Jesus, you are called in a special way to support the ordained ministry of bishops and priests and deacons. You are, and you've heard this so many times, you are, in the words of Pope John Paul, the strong lay arm of vocation ministry in the church. As a priest now for over 51 years, and a bishop for over 33 years, and one who has been involved in vocation ministry for most of my life, I know that the Lord calls people into Serra to participate in a very special and unique way in this unique ministry in the church, vocation ministry. I know that. By committing yourselves in terms of your time, talent, and resources to promote vocation ministry, you participate personally in the special ministry of your bishops. You are specially tied to your bishops in this vocation ministry. You have received a unique call from the Lord. It is a specific vocation as your primary commitment to the church to support vocations to ordain priesthood and consecrated life. That's a special commission and a special ministry. And this is a especially and vitally important ministry in the church to which you have been called. And this is the reason that Serra is one of the few organizations in the church worldwide that has been given special recognition by 5 popes and made accountable to a Roman congregation. In Christi Fidelis Laici, Pope John Paul wanted Catholics throughout the world to recognize that they had a role to play not only in their own particular parishes and dioceses, but in the Church Universal. Of particular interest to the Pope were organizations and structures that had invited participation, that supported the universal mission of the Church, that invited participation from people all over the world, and especially for renewal movements and lay organizations that supported the universal church. That was of particular interest to Pope John Paul. He declared, and I quote him, "For the adequate